What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning and how this year they may finally be falling off. The Lightning have just been playing a lot of hockey, and you can see that, this core is starting to age a little bit now, and maybe they aren't as good as they used to be. I mean, they won 2 Stanley Cups, one in 2020, one in 2021, and they appeared in the Stanley Cup final against the Avalanche in 2022, where they lost. But that is a ton of hockey. That is very short summers, not a lot of rehab, and this core just really isn't that young anymore. Lots of guys are still producing. However, with this core being around and, with the wear and tear on their bodies, with the money they're making, it's starting to impact the roster a little bit. Now, we'll talk about the roster and the actual players in just a second, but the Tampa Bay Lightning currently, as I make this video through 26 games, are 11, 10, and 5, and that's, very 500-ish, very middle of the road, and when they lose in bunches. I mean, very recently they just came off a 4-game losing streak, including a 8-1 loss against the Dallas Stars, and in those 4 games, they only mustered 5 goals. So goal scoring is drying up, obviously, in Tampa Bay, and they're really just not getting that depth scoring that maybe they were used to having with guys like Ross Colton in previous years. And that's not really a problem, at the top of the lineup. I mean, Nikita Kucherov is 42 points, leads the NHL in points. He's very close to the league lead in scoring with 16. I believe Brock Besser leads it with 18 currently. And then you've got Braden Point and Steven Stamkos. That's the first line there. They're all over point per game. They're all playing very well. And then, you got Hedman, Hagel, Sergachev all playing very well. And then it drops off big time from there. Nick Paul is the third line center. He's an alright third line center, that's fine. But then you look at the rest of the roster here, and Anthony Cirelli, who is a very good two-way forward, on the second line playing, he just really is not producing, just 11 points. Got Tanner Jeannot, who they gave up a king's ransom for. I mean, for what, really, right? Like 5 goals in 26 games? Not super great numbers. Isomont's been fine. Barré-Boulet, he's playing in the top 6 currently, but is he, a top 6 player? I personally don't think so. Maybe he can, break out a little bit more as the season goes on, but I don't really think so. And then from there, it's just a lot of depth, a lot of guys that aren't putting up points. Connor Sheary was signed this year, and he's currently on IR, but through the first 13 games, did he really, produce much? Not really. I mean, 1 goal. I think they expected a little bit more, and we're hoping for more out of him. Now we look at, how the forward lines are constructed. As I mentioned before, the Stamkos, Point, Kucherov line has been playing at an unreal rate. They've been really carrying this team in terms of production. Brandon Hagel is playing fantastic this season. A lot of people were confused about that trade when Chicago did move him to Tampa and how expensive that trade was for the Lightning. But he's really panned out into an incredible top 6 forward and one of maybe the more underrated players in the league. He's playing with Cirelli and Barré-Boulet, and those guys have just not been carrying their weight thus far. We look at the bottom 6 and it's ugly, right? That's what I was talking about before. Maybe on paper it doesn't look so bad, but Tanner Jeannot, Nick Paul, Mikey Eyssimont, Eysimont's probably a 4th liner. He's a fine guy to play on your 3rd line if there's injury, but he's probably more of a 4th liner. I'm a Jets fan. I've been watching this guy play for a little while now, in the AHL and with, the Jets and a couple of the teams he's bounced around with in the NHL, and he is a 4th liner, a very good 4th liner, but a 4th liner nonetheless. I don't know if he's got that 3rd line impact. If we look at the 4th line, I mean, Tyler Mott, he's old, he's not producing much anymore. Luke Glendening, another guy, he's just pretty much a face-off man. And Austin Watson, who's, not a very good person and not a very good hockey player either. Now on defense, this is where Tampa's maybe a little bit more solidified. You've got Victor Hedman. We all know him. Fantastic hockey player. He's battled health issues the last little while, but he's been able to stay healthy this season, playing with Nick Perbix. Perbix, another one of those guys, and maybe is a little bit underrated. I really like him. He's able to eat up minutes, and he plays really well with Hedman. Mikhail Sergachev, one of the better defensemen in the NHL, in my opinion, doesn't get talked about enough, playing with Eric Chernik. That is a very good top 4, very solid top 4, and obviously some star power there. The third pairing, Calvin DeHaan and Darren Radish, just a whatever third pairing. I don't think that they're absolutely horrible. I think obviously you can improve, but I think that is probably the least of the Lightning's worries at this moment. Now, let's talk about the goaltending, because Andrei Vasilevskiy missed a lot of the year at the beginning because he was injured. He's been back for the last 5 games, or he's gone 2-3, and his goals against average has not been pretty. It's a 3.02 with an 8.87 save percentage. However, he did grab 1 shutout in the victory. So Vasilevskiy, definitely one of the better goaltenders in the league. I think think eventually he will find his footing again and become one of the better goaltenders in the league again. But right now, he is starting off slow in the 5 games that he's played. Their current backup, who was their starter for a while, Jonas Johansson, he came through, played quite a bit of games. I mean, he went 8-5-5, 18 games played, 3.44 goals against average, and an .892 save percentage with 2 shutouts. The shutouts is pretty nice. The record doesn't look totally awful, but man, he was letting in a lot of goals. And obviously, he's not, supposed to be this great goaltender or anything, but he did his job, I'll say. I mean, brought them to a winning record. It's more than I thought that he was going to be able to do. So he is the backup now. I think he's a fine backup for Tampa Bay. I don't think they really need to worry about goaltending. I think Vasilevsky will return to form. I think it's just a matter of time. Now, if we look at where the Lightning are in the standings, they've got 27 points out of 26 games. That's a lot of games played. They do not have any games on anyone in their division, anybody that they're chasing. They're only a point behind Toronto, but they have 4 games in hand on the Lightning. And I think that Toronto, they got too much star power, too much, really good players on that team to, keep floundering here. I think they're going to figure it out at some point. Maybe Tampa can catch the Panthers. Maybe if Detroit starts to fall off a little bit, come back down to earth, they can maybe get back into the top 3. But I don't see it. I think at best Tampa finishes 4th in the division, and they're chasing a wild card spot. And if I'm a Lightning fan, I'm not feeling very good about that situation at all, because they're chasing the Islanders and the Leafs. The Leafs are in the first wildcard spot right now. We've touched on that situation already. They have 4 games in hand on the Lightning. Now, they are chasing the Islanders, who have 27 points. They are tied for that second wildcard spot. However, the Islanders have 2 games in hand as well. The Islanders have not been playing, super great. I think they probably fall out of it. But if we look at who's behind them, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils. The Devils are too good of a team to be outside of the wildcard race right now, maybe even in the division. I think the Flyers eventually will come back down to earth as well. They'll be fighting for a playoff spot maybe, but the Devils, I think, are a team that's going to soar. Maybe not right now, but they will find their game eventually. Far too talented to miss the playoffs, so that's even more competition for Tampa Bay. And look, they've got an aging core, but that core has been really good for a long time. I think they can do it. I think absolutely the Lightning can make the playoffs. I'd be surprised if at the beginning of the year you told me they weren't going to, but it is going to be tough, and they need to hunker down here and start piecing some wins together, and it's just something they have not been able to do so far this year. I see the Lightning, kind of being in the fight really till the end, but one thing that I wonder about is Steven Stamkos and him being UFA this year, 33 years old, putting up a fantastic year. He's over a point per game as I make this video. And look, if the Lightning fall out of it dramatically and they're not in the fight around the trade deadline, I really do wonder if they consider moving Steven Stamkos. It didn't sound like the Lightning were super aggressive in trying to get Stamkos locked up in the summer. He kind of said that he was upset about it, and that was a little bit of a thing before the year started. I wonder if there's any animosity still in the building around that, around contract talks. Maybe they are trying to hammer out a deal right now. Who knows? He does have a full no move. Maybe, he does want to leave. Maybe he realizes, okay, I'm not going to win a cup here. I'm aging. Maybe I do need to go chase a cup somewhere else. And maybe he does that. Who knows? But I do, I wonder if it's a possibility. I don't think it's a strong one, but I think that the Lightning will, maybe peek into it a little bit, see where he's feeling as the season goes on, if they're not in the hunt for a playoff spot. But with that, guys, I'm going to hop on out of here. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, leave a comment down below what you guys think about the Tampa Bay Lightning, the video, anything that I said. I want to hear your thoughts, your takes, everything in the comments down below. So I'll see you down there. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.